Your questions are answers.
Because we live with it every day.
Inflammatory with Debbie Wilson and Katy Pieris. Navigating life with inflammatory arthritis.
Hello and welcome to Inflammatory with Debbie
And Katy.
How are you, Katy? But I want to know, how was your work event and did you actually manage any self-discipline this week?
Oh, gosh, can I ever do that? I don't know. Yes and no. Didn't get home as early as I would have liked to, but
Right.
I didn't overdrink. So I
okay.
missed my last train because I used to know all the trains, like to get home off the top of my head. I could reel off which station and what time the train is. They've all changed post-COVID and I'm not as well practiced at going out late. So I did manage, though, not to have to get the underground in a cab. I managed to work it out by doing multiple overland trains. So a bit of a higgledy-piggledy way home, but it worked out fine. Didn't get charged like 15 quid in a cab. So all good.
That was not...
How's your week been?
Yeah, it's been really good, actually. I was in Manchester on Wednesday for a VA, a Versus Arthritis-funded consortium. And there is so much research going on. It's covering all MSK, and obviously inflammatory arthritis is part of that. I'm a patient, a partner and a co-lead on one of the work streams that we're looking at. And it's just so interesting, all the research that's going on, and that patients and people living with or impacted with inflammatory arthritis probably don't know it's going on.
Yeah.
But there is so much, and we will, obviously this was just the launch of it, and we will be getting people working on that consortium coming on the pod and talking about their work streams, because I was actually one looking at blood monitoring for DMARDs, which is disease-modifying anti-rheumatic drugs, which we mentioned last week on the pod with the impact of alcohol and the livers. So it is looking at that and seeing if there's any evidence to reduce any unnecessary blood monitoring. So that's the work stream I'm on. And there is like one on health inequalities, there's one on menopause, there's one on opioid use, and there's one on chronic pain as well. So it covers a lot.
And how long is this going on for?
I think it's 5 years. All the work streams are starting off now. So hopefully within a year, we will know exactly what research they're actually working on. And we will probably need people living or impacted families and friends.
Okay. Oh, that's really good.
IA or MSK conditions on part of the research, maybe focus groups. So we will be getting, as I said, people on those different work streams coming on, talking about maybe what they need recruitment wise, and hopefully giving out some results as well and dissemination, because I think that is so important, is that all this research goes on behind the scenes that no one really knows about, but it's how we disseminate those results as well, and what they then mean for patients and for people in clinics as well. How does that actually change our lives living with it? So yes, that's interesting.
That's really interesting. I actually joined the digital patient advisory group this week, looking at the Parkrun Practice Initiative. So where GPs social prescribing to prescribe parkrun to patients. So I think there's about sort of 2,000 GPs across the country that are part of it. And what these researchers are doing is just trying to understand how widely people are actually utilising that service. So that's quite interesting. I mean, it's not inflammatory arthritis specific, but I don't know if anyone's ever been recommended doing parkrun to try and help their joints, because it can be, I know we've talked about it before, it's really like parkrun's amazing because you can they have kind of park walkers. It's not about running a race. It's not a race.
It's not, no. It is just getting that exercise and being with a community.
Yes, it's all about the community, and even you don't even have to run or walk. You could also volunteer and be a marshal on the course, because you're still getting that social aspect. You're outdoors. I mean, looking at the weather today, that doesn't always feel like something that you want to do. But yeah, it was interesting. And it's a friend of mine that's the researcher on the project. So we're just supporting in terms of looking at the question set and making sure that the research is going to lead to the right types of answers.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. Because I must admit, I think Parkrun can put people up. It is that run side, but actually you can walk. And I've done a few. And I think that is probably something that the charity, Inflammatory Arthritis UK, we're actually looking to do is maybe not over the winter, maybe more in the springtime next year, is trying to get people together at park runs, but just walking, giving you that social side, that fresh air, because we know that's good for our mental health as well. And even if you can't do, because I think they're all 5K, even if you can't do that, it doesn't matter.
No,
just go
because
to the cafe.
Yeah, so it's even because my park runs, it's like 2.5 laps.
Yeah,
so
mine is as well.
When I've taken my son, we'll sometimes, because he's only 7, we'll sometimes just do 1 lap and then we just check out, because that's all he can manage that day. So I think people do get put off, and you do get, it's a real mix of people. You've got people that are quite competitive trying to get a good time, but if you start at the back with the people that are walking, you could. I've been a walking volunteer before, and honestly, it was lovely. I just had a nice chat with a load of people I don't know.
Well, exactly. It gets you out the house. It gives you that fresh air, and you meet people that you probably would never have bumped into in everyday life. So I think it is a fantastic initiative, and it's come of age. It's 21. I didn't realize that. I saw your Insta and I was like, wow, 21 already. Yeah, but congratulations to everyone's involved though for how they've done that.
Parkrun does not sponsor our podcast, even though it may sound like that right now.
Yes, well, today's episode is all about answering your questions, because it's been ages since we've done a full-on Q&A, but we have had over the last couple of months some questions come through on Instagram and other social media platforms, and through emails. So I thought today would be a good time to actually answer those questions. But just please do remember, we are just answering from our lived experience. We are not medical professionals. But Katy, the first one came in from Instagram.
So the first question was, how long did it take for you to feel symptoms were under some type of management?
I really had to go back in my memory to try and think all the way back, because I can't remember which episode, but it's a recent episode when we were talking about when I was diagnosed and started long-term treatment. It was 30 years.
Wow.
I didn't realise that. So when I was originally diagnosed as a child, again, because I was never put on any long-term treatment, I don't think I ever got it properly under any sort of management, because just waking up every day thinking, what's going to happen to my body today? Is it going to go into my hips, in my knees? Are they going to flare in my wrists, in my jaw? So it was just so uncontrollable that I didn't find any way to try and control it. I think I just tried to ignore it. But when I was then put on long-term treatment, roll on 30 years, it did take a while, because my whole body was in just such an overreactive state that all my joints were flaring. It was in my eye. And that was mainly the reason why to get on long-term treatment. And it did take a while, because I went on conventional DMARDs on the tablet form. That didn't work. And then I did feel quite nauseous on that. So then I went on the injections, and I was put on a very high dosage of them. But then that made me become neutropenic. So it killed off my white blood cells.
Right. I thought it was going to be my next question. What does that mean?
Yes. So then I had to come off that and try other DMARDs, but then I was allergic to one of them. And then that's what then took me to go into biologic treatment, which I am now on. And I think it took a while for that to properly get my immune system back to normality and some control. Then near enough straight after that, my daughter got diagnosed. So all the stress and everything with that, it wasn't a good time.
Yeah.
But obviously that's me, and I'm very different. But for Katy, was yours quicker?
So I was thinking about this before recording today, because I was put on a conventional DMARD straight away. I'd say sort of after 12 weeks, I saw a huge difference, and I did feel in myself a lot better. I did start marathon training about 8 months after my diagnosis. So I mean, clearly my joints feeling better, and I was able to run and move quite well. But when I really think back, I don't think I actually was as well as I thought I was. So I was on 3 DMARDs to begin with.
Wow.
They introduced them at different points, and they increased the dosage of one of them up until I think I was on about the maximum dose. Right. And that did make me feel really sick. and really tired, but it was helping, which is why they kind of kept on increasing it. But I still, when I look back, I thought I was pretty well, but it wasn't really until I started a biologic did I realize actually I probably wasn't, because once I was on a biologic, I really felt like the old me. And that was about 3 years post-diagnosis that I started biologic. I answer it a little bit nervously because I felt much better and I could do a lot more 12 weeks after diagnosis, sort of 12 weeks to 7 months. And like after a year, I'd completed a marathon. I'd been in the opening ceremony of the Olympics, which is brilliant, but I wasn't back to my old self. I don't know if you ever get back to your old self, by the way, but once it wasn't until I started biologics did I really feel much better in myself. But then once I had my son, I went back to square one. So, and again, because I didn't start biologics until he was 9 months, that was quite a long process in terms of then feeling better, essentially. So, yeah, I say the standard 12 weeks to 6 months, but then actually it was like really 4 years.
Yeah, I think it's a hard
one. It depends what you feel about, because it's really personal whether you feel your symptoms are well managed. Yeah. And at different points, you'll think your symptoms are well managed, but then actually they will become well managed and you'll realise that actually they weren't.
Yeah, it might not have been. And I think it's also, what's your definition of manage, really? Because I could probably...
Yeah, that's a good question.
I lived with pain for 30 years. So I just got so used to it that would I even now say that they're managed? Because I don't know any different from when it was previous to now. And yeah, I must admit, I think my eye is starting to flare a bit as well. And so, yeah, I think it's just so personal, and your definition of manage is different, because I still do things. Like today, I still go and do lots of things and that. But, if I was fully well, if that's a thing either, I don't know.
Is everyone fully well?
Exactly. It's so hard. And I think it's just what feels right in you, whether you feel that you can go do things that day.
Yeah. And we've all got different expectations of what we want to be able to do.
Exactly. Like I never want to go run a marathon. I did when I was a lot younger, but I don't now. I just want to just chill out a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's also age as well, probably. So, it's very different. But then moving on to the next question, I think we covered this slightly in the relationships episode.
Yeah.
I can't believe that was back in February. That was like 6 months ago now. How has your relationship with your body changed since living with inflammatory arthritis?
Yeah, that's a good one, because I think my body size has probably fluctuated throughout the disease, because I know I talked about it in some of the earlier episodes before I got diagnosed, because I wasn't moving as much. And I know they say it's 80% what you eat, 20% your exercise, but I still think exercise plays a big part in weight management, even though it's supposedly only 20%. But it's not always just about the way your body looks, it's how your body feels. And I think knowing that my body can cope with all the effects of inflammatory arthritis, then I think I'm probably prouder than I've ever been of my body and what it can actually deal with.
That is a really good way of putting it. I'd never really thought of it like that. I suppose I'm more probably not negative about my body, just because it is what it is. Would I want to be thinner? Yes. But it's just realizing that because I have so much fatigue, my plan would be, finish volunteering for the charity, go down the gym, and do, go for a run and things like that. It's just, I just don't have the energy to do that. Whether that's a side effect from some of the medications, again, I don't know, or just my body is just what it is now. Yeah, our bodies, and we've both had children as well.
Yep.
Our bodies have been through so much. So actually we do need to be proud of what they've been through and what, they're going to put us through in the next however many years as well. Yeah, so I really like that way of putting it. So I don't want to add to that. I really like that.
Well, there we go. I've left Debbie speechless.
You have, for once. But yes, but moving on to the next question.
Yes, another question that's come in. Are there everyday items, gadgets or apps that make living with inflammatory arthritis easier? And I know we've both mentioned a few things previously, but do you want to take this one first?
Yeah, I was going to say the one thing that I do have, and I I found it the other day. I actually have a walking stick. I don't know if I've mentioned this in the
I don't
past.
think you have.
But it's an ergonomic one, and it's not like the crutches that they give you in hospital because they are so bad on your wrists. They are. So this one has like a spring at the bottom. So when you put it on the floor, it doesn't jolt your joints so much, especially on your wrists and your elbows. So it's actually really quite a comfortable one, and it works quite well for my wrists. So I have to
Oh,
be
that's
quite,
pretty cool.
yeah, because again, with these diseases, they're generally systemic, so they affect both sides of your body. So when
Yeah.
my knees and my hips are flaring on one side, I know that not long after, my knees and my hips on the other side will start hurting. So I do have to have a stick just to,
Yeah.
also mainly to get up the stairs as well, because bless my husband, I don't think he'll be able to carry me up anymore.
Fireman's lift. Everyone can be carried.
But yeah, so it is just having that, because again, I know that my left side will hurt if my right side is struggling more. So I do have that just to kind of put off the inevitable, but that it does, I do find that really does help.
Mm-hmm.
In the kitchen, I did have, apart from it's now broken, a small blender. So I could just, it's like cutting the onion. Sometimes when your wrists are so bad, I just cut them quite big, just chuck them in a chopper blender, and it cut it very small for me. I do have a thing to open jars, but then I'm also quite stubborn and thinking, how hard can it be to open a jar?
It can be very hard.
It can be very hard.
There
So then
is
I
a
just
certain
shout.
brand of bolognese sauce where the jar is exceedingly tricky for
Oh,
anybody.
really? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, I must admit one of mine is as well. So I do have a thing that you can put over it.
Yeah.
It's hard to explain, but it's like
Oh.
a rubber thing. I'll bring it next time so people on YouTube can then see what it is. So it has two sizes. So obviously jars that are smaller, you put it on and then you just twist it round, and it just grabs it for you. So you don't have to then do the grabbing motion. You just then pull it and then it opens it. So I do have
Mine's
that.
like a clamp. You kind of put it on the top, it clamps in, and then you can just twist it.
Oh, okay. I think, yeah, mine's probably, it probably does the same motion. It's just
Yes.
a rubber, a very strong rubber thing. But other than that, again, we mentioned last week, and no, 2 weeks ago with the pain episode about splints and just supports for my wrist. I have them, and I do take my husband's car when my left wrist is more painful because it's an automatic. It's lazy driving, whereas I do love a manual car, so I do just nick his car. But other than that, I'm not too sure. How about you?
So in the kitchen, so I've got a kettle where you press a button and the water comes out, because
Oh,
in the
really?
early days, I mean, I'd have a hot tap, but they're like £1,000 to install.
I just think I would forget and just burn my hand. I'm
And
scared.
I think with kids as well, I don't think they're.
No.
I have a bit of health and safety issues with them, but I have a kettle where it's just a standing kettle. You press a button and it fills like a cup of water. So it is annoying if you want to fill a pan, because you can't just pour as much. You have to keep pressing the button and going, come on, fill it. But it's perfect for like a cup of tea, that kind of thing. I also have a very good husband. I'd say he's my main he's my main gadget, because
That's one way of putting it, yes.
I get a coffee every morning.
Actually, I do have a cup of tea in the morning. He makes me a cup of tea.
I get because he doesn't like me touching his coffee machine.
Okay.
So, and then
And also you
again,
have a son as well.
yes, and he can now make a mean scrambled eggs on a Saturday and Sunday.
Nice.
So yeah, I've just got him I won't say the brand of card, but he's got a bank card now that we put his money on, and he does chores. So he can also be my gadget. So makes you sound really, really lazy. And then I do have kind of like splints as well when my wrists are bad. So I'll quite often, if my wrists have been quite sore, if I sleep in the splints, I do tend to find the next day they feel a lot better. Oh, and I do have bedding that is, instead of like it zips and it just folds out, so you lay it out, and then you just put your quilt within it and then zip it in, rather than having to like fight the bedding.
Yes, that is I hate doing that. I just dread it.
I hate making the bed, whether I've got problems with my joints or not. It's just anyway, and that's and I guess furs, I've always quite liked those lighter ones, but they're sometimes not as good. So it's a balance, isn't it, of it actually picking up what you want it to pick up.
Yes, I do actually have quite a good hoover now, but that's because the battery had to match his drill and all the tools that he wanted.
Okay.
But it is very light. That was my other thing as well, because I need to go and try them, because some I just couldn't move at all, because
Yeah.
when my elbows are sore, that obviously, with kids and the husband, they should, help me out as well. But it's just, I just couldn't do it at all. So I had to get a very lightweight one. So yes, I suppose that's other things.
Yeah.
As well. But do you
Yeah.
use any apps at all? Because obviously apps are been a new thing. I don't, because even though I should, because my appointments with my rheumatologist are now once every year. And so
Yeah.
I probably should write down or put down somewhere where I've been flaring. But because when I get to the next year, I forget. But then I don't want to be, even though I run a charity and we do a weekly podcast, I don't want to be reminded
Yeah.
every day about it. But that may be me. I just wondered what your thoughts
So
were.
I've gone through phases of this and I can't even remember the apps' names now, but I have used apps to record things, but also I've just used a good old pen and paper previously, and kind of written diaries and just noted down
Yeah.
when things have been a problem, or just written it in my phone notes so that when I go to an appointment, I don't forget that I had a flare at this point and these are the things I couldn't do. Because I think everybody finds this. You go to an appointment, if you're feeling all right that day, you just say you're fine.
Yeah. And you kind of forget how you were as
Like
well.
5
So
months ago, because
yeah,
I mean, when do I have appointments? I'm a bit lost, to be honest, sometimes. I mean, obviously there's all the digital genius stuff earlier in the year,
of course,
so
yes. Can't
maybe it's
forget
wise I
that.
don't.
But yes, but I know there's also, do you do meditation or anything like that? Because I must admit, I don't specifically do meditation, but I do have, he was an old boss of mine, and I just having in my, when I'm kind of feeling slightly overwhelmed or just too stressed, I do just have his voice in my head just going, Debs, take a breath. And actually,
Oh,
that's just what I do. And I think because we mentioned this in a pods a few weeks ago, that it's just that breathing and just focusing on your
yeah.
breathing. And that just literally just makes me put things into perspective. And it's just like, oh, okay, I don't need to worry about that now. I can do that later. But it just literally just slows my body down. And that
Yeah, no,
helps with my joints a bit as well. But
I did try one of the meditation apps once, and I have tried to meditate before, but I can't take myself seriously enough.
that's a good thing to have, I think.
Yeah, I can't
Yeah.
do it.
Oh,
But I am
bless.
going to something this weekend, like some evening spa sound bath thing. So I'll tell more. I'll tell more next week.
Yes, and if it works for you as well, it sounds interesting. But our last question, and I think this is actually a really good one, is what is something you still hope to achieve or experience despite living with IA?
That's
It's
big,
a
isn't
deep
it?
one. It is.
That's a big one. I think so. Something I would like to see, and this isn't about me, this is about other people living with inflammatory arthritis. And I
Mm,
guess this comes back to why we've got the charity. But I think it's just seeing people living with the diseases being confident to do what they want to do. So it's that
mm,
driving confidence amongst the community, and people not feeling like it's a limitation to what they can do. You might not
mm.
be able to do certain things, and that's fine, but it giving you the opportunity to do things you didn't think were possible.
Yeah, that's a really good answer. I must admit, I was thinking about this, and it is pushing the charity forward that bit to really give people the community, and actually just realizing that, as you said, Katie, yeah, so eloquently there, that there are things that you might never be able to do, but it doesn't matter. It may be that you were never meant to do those things. It pushes you to do other things that you never realized that you thought you could do. I think it's just getting that resilience over to people as well. I must admit, I don't think for me there's anything that in my life that I want to now go and experience. I would like to do more traveling, but I'm just getting to this stage of life. Even a few years ago, I did want to go and live in London. My dream as a child was to live in London, work in Canary Wharf, and own a sports car. I don't do any of those things at all. And I certainly do not own a sports car. But now I couldn't get into a sports car. I have to have my SUV from my back. But now it's just thinking, I don't want that now. I just want
Yeah.
some countryside, and just trying to give people, as you say, the confidence and just seeing where the charity goes, just to help and support people living with inflammatory arthritis. And what I would like is for more people to be able to go onto all the medications that are out there, not having those barriers, those funding barriers, all those different pathways. Because if there's medications out there that could really transform people's lives, they really should be on it. And it's heartbreaking to see people might not have that DAS score, but they're in so much pain. So I think that's something that, we will take forward as well. So it's been a great episode. Thank you, Katy, for your...
Yeah, I've really enjoyed this one.
For your really interesting answers. If you have different answers to these questions, please do put them on our social media platforms. We would love to hear from you. But thank you so much for listening. Don't forget, we are now on YouTube and you can watch our episodes. We are also on Facebook, Blue Sky, Instagram and LinkedIn. So please do comment, like and follow, and also rate the podcast wherever you get your podcast from. It really helps with us with analytics and trying to get funding come through as well. Until next week, where we have a new guest come on, it's goodbye.
Goodbye.